I'm so honored to have her in studio with me. Her name is Jennifer Laurent. I wanted to get it straight. She's like, don't get it twisted, mother love. She is a new author. She's written a book called Excerpts from the Heart of a Mom. It is a conscious approach to parenting. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. Now, this originally began as a gift to author Jennifer Laurent's son, who quickly grew into 25 conscious parenting concepts that help parents foster their child's innate and profound wisdom and keep children connected to their authentic selves. I was like, what? I'm old school. What? First of all, tell me about conscious parenting. What does that mean?
Well, conscious parenting is parenting with awareness. It is basically being willing to look at ourselves and take an honest look at ourselves, and then be able to carry that forward so that we're making choices. We're parenting in the way that feels right for us by choice, and not simply because it's a habit or it's what our parents did or it's what everyone else is doing or we just don't know any better.
And some of them don't know any better.
Right.
So now when you said you wrote this book for your son, and now he's a little guy. How old is he now?
He's 5.5.
Oh, he's 5. Yeah, don't forget that half.
Don't forget the half.
Oh, look, my granddaughter told me the other day, oh no, I'm 7 3/4. I'm like, sweetie, you just turned 7 in January. You're not 7 3/4 of anything. What are you talking about? I'm 7 3/4. They want that there. So now, when you got pregnant and you decided to become a conscious parent, was it during your pregnancy, before you got pregnant, or after he came and you went, what the heck have I done?
I think that when I got pregnant, when I became pregnant, I knew I wanted to do it differently. I knew that.
What did you want to do differently?
Well, I had heard a lot of people around me talking about how stressful it is and how they're always exhausted and how, they just want to rip their hair out of their heads. And I just felt like it didn't have to be that experience. I felt like it could be peaceful, it could be fulfilling, and it could be whatever I kind of felt I wanted it to be. So I just sort of knew I wanted to do something in a different way.
Now, when you said in a different way, different from what your parents did, different from what you saw other people doing, and are these people with multiple children that said it was stressful and wanted to pull their hair out?
Both, the way I was raised, I wanted to do something different.
How did you want to be a different mother than your mother?
Well, my parents were older. I have older siblings. My closest sibling is 12 years older than me, and the furthest is 20 years. So
so your parents had 3 only children, technically.
There was 5 of us, but I was, yeah.
Wait a minute, you all got the same mother and father?
Yeah.
Didn't they know where the babies were coming from? Honey, could you stop that? What's with the gap? There's a 20-year difference between you and a sibling, and then a 12-year difference between another sibling?
Yes. So, and then they all fit in between there.
Oh, yeah, I would have been pulling my hair out, too. I'd have been, dude, if you touch me one more time, back that up.
Yeah, so I was kind of an only child, even though I had siblings, but they were from a different generation, and therefore, things that I speak about in the book, it just wasn't in their realm of thinking. It wasn't something that they considered. So.
Now, are your parents still alive?
They are.
Have they read the book?
They have.
And so what was the feedback from your parents that are not even in the realm? They're going, honey, this is our child. What did we do?
Yeah.
How did they respond?
It was hard for them. My mom and I, it was really hard for her at first. We had a little bit of a back and forth. But it's really been a source of healing for us, and especially me. I think in writing the book and being able to speak with her about a lot of the things, it has helped me kind of understand that I had the mother that I needed, and have gratitude for that, and have gratitude for her and the things that she offered me, good and bad.
Now, when you said it was a healing for you, and you and she went back and forth, because daughters and mothers have tumultuous relationships.
We sure do.
I thought my mother was the craziest chick on the face of the planet until one day I woke up on my 18th birthday and I went, she sure got smart from 15 to 18. Good. I don't know what happened there. And then she got even smarter as I got older, And so you have that dynamic. Did you have that conflict with your mother and her not understanding you because she was older from a different generation?
Yeah, I think it's not only the mother-daughter typical conflict, but yes, she was from a different generation. So I, as a child, felt really invisible. I didn't feel like people understood me. I didn't feel like anyone in my house really got me. And I talk about in the book about how, I felt like an alien in my own house. And I think I write an example in there about how I used to get made fun of for my sensitivity just because they didn't understand it. And so I think there was a lot of anger on my side resulting from that, and I think that's where the healing.
Did you want them to be more open, and then as you got to be an adult and became a mother yourself, you realized they did the best they could do with what they had?
Exactly.
You've got better tools, you've got stronger tools, you've got smarter tools, especially now because parenting, I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons of the many reasons I wanted to be able to have a conversation with you, because parenting is so different from when we were raising our son and seeing them grow up. And we're grandparents now, and I proudly say that because I can go, bring the children, come and get the children. Right. Get them all out of here, But the parenting is still so very different, and that's why when I was reading this, I was like, this is so very different. And when you said to be conscious, to be present, to be there. So are there times, even in your consciousness and even in this lovely book, that you go, this child getting on my nerve. I'm real present. I'm present enough that if you don't. Does it get like that? Or are you in such control that you don't have those issues?
No, I have those moments for sure.
Okay.
I think that what I try to do in those moments is be honest with my son and with myself first.
How difficult is that, Jennifer, though, when you talk about because you're very honest in the book, and I want you to know it was a very quick read. I read very fast anyway, and it was a very, look, see how balled up my book is, and you have to autograph it for me.
I will.
Look, I got so happy, I started writing my own notes in the back of the book. And I was really intrigued by it, because you don't have a problem with being honest about yourself and about the times when you just don't have it together. I mean, I was also really impressed with this, because a lot of women will not talk about the fact that you and his father did not make it as a couple, but you parent together. How difficult was that? Realizing that here was the man that you loved, who gave you this beautiful little boy, and now you're like, okay, what happened? What had happened, baby?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I think any divorce situation is difficult. My ex and I, we started dating when we were 17. So we were together our whole lives. And we grew apart, You grew up. We grew up, yeah. And, I think now that I'm over 30, I realize that women, when
she talking about she over 30. Look, I'm telling you, yeah, okay, must be some, because you're a yoga instructor as well and a life coach. How'd you get involved in that?
Well,
and does that help you in your parenting?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think everything from my background, from social work to yoga to life coaching, they all are tools. They're just as many tools as I can get to be the best parent I can to my son.
How did being a social worker help? See, and I'm asking that because everybody just about in my family is or was a social worker. My mother, my sisters, one of my sisters went to law school. Spent all this money on law school. Then she comes out and goes, I think I want to open a daycare center. A very lucrative daycare center. But she said this is where she felt her need was, to be with children and to help nurture children, because they were not getting the parenting, the mother love, and the father love that they needed. And I think that's where a lot of kids are falling through the cracks, because parents, just because they have a baby, don't realize parenting is a job and a skill set. And babies don't come with instructions at all. How did social work help you as a parent?
Well, as a social worker, I mean, I became a social worker because I want to save the world. Same
of course.
Type of concept, But I worked with children and families. I was able to witness a lot of dysfunction. I was also able to witness a lot of healing. And I was also able to provide parents with the tools that they needed in order to heal their families. So I think that it just gave me perspective, and it's given me perspective. And the training that comes along with counseling and sitting back and being able to listen and being able to allow people to come to their own understandings and their own decisions rather than forcing them. I think that has helped me tremendously with my son, and being able to let him be who he is and being able to let him formulate, his decisions and his actions. And
he's 5. Please talk to me about that. He's 5. And when I was reading that, I was like, I get the concept. I get the overall concept of it. And as a 5-year-old, how does he know, and how do you allow him to formulate his own thoughts and ideas and decisions at 5?
He's I've given him the opportunity to think. Someone was sitting with us the other day, and he was telling us a story, and the woman looked at me and said, "It's just amazing how you sit back and just let him keep going," because for a little while at the beginning it sounded like childish gibberish. It didn't really make sense. But after 5 minutes, I think, of that, he really had a point he was getting to. Mm-hmm. And it was a well thought out point, a well thought out conversation that he wanted to have. And had I just jumped in there and and just assumed it was, some 5-year-old talk, I would have missed all of that. Mm-hmm. And so I think our children are a lot more capable than we give them credit for, and that we allow them to be. I think with the space, they are able to really tune into themselves and tune into that inner voice that is really clouded for us as adults. But I think for children, it's so loud for them. It's all they know. And I think we can trust in them a little bit.
I think that's why children come with no filter.
Yeah.
And they tell the truth because they tell it like they see it. Even the Bible says, out of the mouths of babes will come the truth, because they don't have a filter. We jack them up. As a clinician, and I can call you a clinician, as a social worker and a life coach and a yoga instructor, and she's got 15 jobs. She's probably part Jamaican. I always say that. How do you make a determination as a parent, especially for a child so small, and as they get older, how do you make the determination how much space to give him, to allow him, to know when to let him do his thing and when to have to pull him back, and when to have to pull him in and rein him in?
I think that for me, I think every parent needs to determine what is important to them. What are their boundaries? What are the things that they want to stress in their relationship, and also check in with the child and understand who they are. But with my son, I feel like my job is to protect him. Mm-hmm. My job is to keep him safe, and it's to help guide him along on his journey. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like he's mine. I don't feel like he needs to live up to anything that has to do with me. I feel like I've been given a gift to sort of witness his journey and his growing and whatever experiences he has.
And be like his guidance counselor.
Kind of, mm-hmm. Yeah, and just keep him safe. And I am his mother, and I do have the wisdom of years and all of that to help him along the way. But I try to keep my battles or whatever to things that are really important to me. Mm-hmm. Like I know I want him to grow up to be a man, a good man, a man who is respectful, a man who is sensitive, a man who is also powerful. There's these things that I want to instill in him, and that's kind of where I guide him.
And she just said she didn't have any expectations for him to live up to. Yes, because as parents, in the job of protecting our children, you do want to set parameters. You do want to set expectations. You do want to expect certain behaviors from them and not just let them go buck wild. Because as a social worker, like you said, you've seen the dysfunction mm-hmm. in these families. One of the things that I used to say to my son all the time, he was like, "Oh, Mom, you're not really friendly to me." I'm like, "I'm not your friend. I'm your mother. Right. I got my own friends. You go make your own friends." And you really don't know. And I've said this oftentimes, you really don't know what kind of parent you have been until your children go out into the world and you see how they conduct themselves and how other people respond to them. And see, when they're little like this, most people will probably say about your son, he's an old soul, when he can sit down at 5 and formulate a thought and get to from point A to point B. In our culture, we call that old souls. Mm-hmm. And so do you think he's an old soul? Do you feel like he's been here before, like you're nurturing somebody who knows?
For sure, I definitely do. But I think that part of why he is able to really express himself and really fully be him is that I've keyed into that. Mm-hmm. I've keyed into who he is and what is important to him.
What kind of little boy is he?
Oh gosh, he is a light. I mean, he is the type of child who finds the positive in everything. We have an hour commute, and he says, "This is awesome. I get to ride in the car for an hour." So, and he's compassionate. He has this heart of gold, and whenever, and I do get the feedback. He goes to school, mm-hmm. and the feedback it's always nice to hear feedback as a parent and know that what you think you're doing at home is actually carrying over, and to hear how conscientious he is, mm-hmm. and to hear that if somebody's hurt or if somebody needs help, he'll stop what he's doing and make sure they're okay. And to know that the things that we do talk about and that I try to help him along with, that he is carrying those out into the world.
I have to interrupt, because in studio with Mother Love, we don't use the word try. We do it.
Yeah,
you are
true.
doing it. You are not trying.
I don't like the word either.
And I want you to take it out of your pretty little head. Go. And I wanted to tell you, she is a beautiful woman, just in case. Excuse me. And I wanted to ask you about, you talked about, excuse me, I got to get some water. I got a hairball. Talking about him growing up and the space that you give him. I'm sure that you have to do this in an age appropriate manner because he is still so young. Mm-hmm. Are you afraid that you might give him too much freedom?
I'm not sure that it's freedom that I'm giving him.
Freedom is different from space.
I think so. I think that some of my friends used to joke that I ran a boot camp. So I think there is a difference. I'm thinking of 2 points right here, but there's a difference between freedom and space. Mm-hmm. I give him space to be the human being that he is. I know that he's sensitive. I know certain things about him. I know that when he's really tired or when he's really hungry, he gets in this really complainy type space.
Well, that has nothing to do with him being 5. I get like that all the time.
Exactly. But I've learned to allow him, because he's a Cancer. I don't know if you know anything about astrology.
I know everything about astrology, and the Cancer, man, let me tell you, they're trying to be really powerful men, and they want to run everything and tell you what to do. He's going to go from being your son to thinking he's your father or your husband. I'm just letting you. What sign are you born under?
I'm a Scorpio.
He might have a problem with that, and it might be a battle coming. Yeah, do your thing now with the conscious parenting, because when he turns into a teenager, what people, teenagers, this is your first child, right? Mm-hmm. Teenagers make you realize why some species eat their young. Because all this pretty stuff could go out the window when the hormones hit.
Well, something I learned in school, being trained as a social worker, was what you see at the age of 2, the type of relationship you have at 2, and the way you're able to handle that terrible 2s, the trying 3s, that whole stage is a precursor to what your life is going to be like when they go through their teenage years, because they're both transition periods. They're both periods of separation. There are times when your child is trying to break away from you, mm-hmm. in very big ways. And so I've always thought about that, and I do see, and I joke at the end of the book, talk to me in 15 years, and we'll see how it actually went. That,
I said, okay, we'll have to have another conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to even wait 15 years. We'll see when he's like 12.
But I think that, that's what people said to me too when I was pregnant. Oh, just wait, you're going to have sleepless nights. Oh, just wait till the terrible 2s. I didn't experience any of that.
See, I didn't either. Our son was such a joy to raise. He was just so much fun. We laughed all the time. He knew who the disciplinarian was, both my husband and myself. Mm-hmm. He knew who he could wrap around his finger.
Mom.
And his dad, though. It all depended on what he wanted. I remember he was about 7 or 8 years old. He came and he said, Mom, can I have friends in the basement? I was like, no, you can't have friends in the basement. We got things to do. So then he goes to his dad. He goes, Dad, can I have friends in the basement? His father, of course you can have friends in the basement. Go ahead. They trooped on. It's like 8 little boys. They trooped. I said, didn't I tell you couldn't have anybody in the basement? He went, my daddy said I could have somebody in the basement. And I listened to my daddy because you just a girl. I must have stood there for about 5 years. And I didn't go to jail because I was like, did this child just say this to me? And they just trooped right along. They thought, when I was telling my husband, because he went out the front door, the kids going out in the basement, he thought it was the funniest thing. It was like testosterone.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Now, one of the things that you talk about in the book, and again, her name is Jennifer Laurent. She's written a book called Excerpts from the Heart of a Mom, a conscious approach to parenting. One of the chapters in the book is you become a student for life. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that.
Yes, you do. I learn every single day from him, and I think that that's part of being conscious, and that's part of being willing to look at yourself. But they're constantly pushing your buttons in a sense, but they know you as well as you know them. Mm-hmm. And if you're open to it, you can learn about yourself and grow and make changes and transitions in your own life.
Mm-hmm. And was that because you said you got honest with him? Did you have to sit down and talk to him, you and his father, about the fact that Mommy and Daddy were not going to be living together?
Yes.
And was that difficult for you both?
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy. He was 2. No, he was 3. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, he was 3.
Oh, so this is still kind of new. This is kind of fresh.
Yeah, it's been 2.5 years.
And you said you and he had been together since you were 17, so that's pretty much all of your adult life.
Exactly.
And then you go, what? Oh, my goodness. What have you learned about yourself since the breakup and since deciding to parent consciously?
I think since the breakup, what I've learned is just how capable I am. I have realized a depth of strength that I don't think I understood I had before. Mm-hmm. I also know who I am now. You know, I was young, so I didn't really get to fully understand who I was separate from somebody else. And
really didn't get to grow up. Mm-mm. For Jennifer to know who she is and what she brings to the table. Right. So now do you believe it that because you have grown this way, when you get involved in another relationship, you will be a whole person? You won't be like, I'm just, you complete me. I could never understand that. I'm like, why would you need another human being to complete you? That means that somebody coming to the table half-stepping. Right. And why drag yourself down like that? Also, I mean, I really enjoyed it. The part that really, well, there are many parts that I'm fascinated with. When you talk about how you've learned to be honest with your son and with yourself, let's talk about that. And how honest are you really with him? And how far can you go? Right. With that honesty?
Yeah, I mean, I think like most people, I think at certain times we struggle with honesty and not wanting to say certain things because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, or we're afraid of how we're going to look, or a multitude of reasons. Mm-hmm. It's something I struggled with a lot when I was younger. I had a really hard time letting people down in an honest way. Mm-hmm. And as I grew older, I learned to be honest slowly but surely, and then it really became a very integral part of who I am. Mm-hmm. And so with my son, I am honest, and I tell him the truth. I have never said we can't go somewhere because the store is closed when the store is open.
Okay.
I tell him, even if that means he's going to not understand, even if that means I might have to deal with a little bit of crying or something, it's more important to me that he know at all times that I will never lie to him, mm-hmm. and that he can trust me, than me making it easy.
You know, that what you just said is so critical in a parental and a child and a sibling environment, because when kids find out that you are lying to them and have been lying to them, your parental credibility goes completely in the toilet. And then you end up saying things like, well, no, you can't do it. Well, why can't I do it? Because I said so. And then you get hit back, well, you did it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't tell me. Our son wanted to get a tattoo on his 18th birthday. And I said, so what's your new address? Because I'm not living with you with all those tats all over you. You know, that's fine. If that's what you want to do. You feel like you're a grown man. I don't take, only grown man I take care of is your daddy. And your daddy doesn't have a tattoo. So if you want to move, get as many tattoos as you want. Well, we ended up putting him out at 28. He was like, well, I told him, you got to start paying rent. You've been here long. Dude, I didn't realize he was 28. And I was like, oh, it's time for you to go. And I said, well, you got to start paying rent. And he was like, well, I've been living with you all of my life. I've never paid rent before. I said, you got to pay rent someplace. Right. I didn't even argue with him. I just said, tell mother what your new address is. And matter of fact, let me take you to Walmart and help you out here. How about that? We're going to Walmart. He goes, you never go to Walmart. I'm like, I never had to help set somebody up. So, you have to be prepared for that, those kinds of things. Have you ever said to him, no, you're not going to do it, or we're not going to go because I said so, and not have a follow-up?
I always said that last. So
oh, that's a comment of last resort.
Yeah.
So she got it in her, Yon. Don't let her fool you.
I also have the child who is maybe he'll be a lawyer. I'm not sure, but ever since he was able to speak, he has been able to argue every point.
He's a cancer.
He argues it, and he argues it well. I mean, there are many times when I've had to say, you're right. And he's 2, and I have to say, you're right, I take it back, or something like that.
You know what? That empowers a child to understand that what I have to say is valid, and I'm not invisible, because you know what that felt like, and you would not want that to be in your child's spirit. Now, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask you, what kind of feedback do you get from other parents? How have you being the things that happened to you as a social worker, and why you got away from that? Because you don't look crazy. Look, and all the social workers I know got a little bit of nut in them, and it's a good thing. In studio with me this is your first book? I'm sure it won't be your last one. Excerpts from the Heart of a Mom. It's by Jennifer Laurent. She's in studio, A Conscious Approach to Parenting. And we'll be back after these messages. As soon as I can find the button. I stripped the thing, and here we go.
Lifestyles. I'm Bobby Owens. Type 2 diabetes is more likely to affect minority populations, including African Americans and Latinos. Mother Love, TV personality and author, has type 2 diabetes and knows firsthand how to deal with it.
To manage diabetes successfully, you must keep a positive attitude and build a strong support team. Make sure you monitor your blood glucose levels often, exercise daily, eat well, and stay informed.
Mother Love says a healthy and balanced diet is very important.
You don't have to skip out on the barbecues, but you do need to watch what you eat. Choose healthy and fresh foods like seasonal fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and always practice portion control. For snacks, try Glucerna nutrition products. The great-tasting shakes, snack bars, and cereals are formulated to minimize blood sugar spikes when used as a part of a diabetes management plan.
Use Glucerna products under medical supervision. For more information, visit Glucerna.com. That's Lifestyles from the makers of Glucerna. I'm Bobby Owens.
Oh, yeah. 212. Mastering math can be big fun. Fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math maze. The new game craze. Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math maze. The new game craze. Passive learning at its best. Play the game and pass the test. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math maze. The new game craze. Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math maze. Say it, play it. Math maze. classmates, the new game craze.
Allstate would like you to meet Mike and Jamie Erickson.
Yeah, when I retire 18, 20 years from now, I'm going to have kids in college. It's scary because the question is, have we saved enough to be able to afford a comfortable retirement and see the kids through college and also through, their later years in life?
Mike's going to be 51 next year. Jamie will be 44, and their youngest will be 4.
The reality is that we've got a lot of money that we're going to have to pay out over the rest of our lives, but it's the long-term retirement for Jamie and I that I worry about. I think we're going to be able to have enough money to raise our kids, but beyond that is a concern.
For Mike and Jamie, and thousands with stories like theirs, there's Allstate Retirement. It's free one-on-one help planning for the third half of your life. Whatever you have, wherever you are, Allstate can work with that.
Start the conversation today with Altadena, California Allstate agent Wilbert Smith Insurance Services. Call 626-791-7636. Allstate Indemnity Company, Northbrook, Illinois.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You are listening to LA Talk Radio. We say what we want.
You're listening to The Mother Love Show right here on LA Talk Radio.
And we are back in studio. With me is the lovely Jennifer Laurent. She is a first-time author. She's written a lovely book called Excerpts from the Heart of a Mom, A Conscious Approach to Parenting. And I wanted to have her in to give some insight, especially for our young parents, because the young people, they don't want to do it old school. They don't want to do what their parents did, but they don't seem to know what to do. Give me your top 3 things that you would want to share with young parents and parents to be, that they can become a conscious parent, on top of getting the book.
Well, I think that first of all, we need to tune out everybody. I think one of the things I noticed was everyone wanted to give me all their advice, and most of it was not, it was contradictory. So, when you're a new parent, you're about to be a new parent, you don't know what to expect, and you've got all this different information coming to you, and no matter what you do, someone's going to think it's not a good decision. And so I think that we just need to tune everyone out and really focus in on our child, ourselves, and allow ourselves to really feel what it is we think we need to do and what feels right for us. When we listen to all these other people, it really clouds our own inner voice and clouds our own ability to recognize our child and what they need. Because nobody can know what your child needs, really, other than if they're with them. Children aren't cookie cutters. Each one is an individual. And so we really need to look at the actual child in front of us and having a clear vision instead of a clouded, voice in your head, I think.
When you talk about conscious parenting, it's and tell me if I'm on the right path, that it's important for the parent to get in tune with themselves, maybe even before the baby comes, maybe even before they start to decide to have children, to get in tune with themselves so they can hear their own authentic voice. Because, like you said, you hear all this white noise and everybody's trying to tell you, don't do this, don't do that, and it becomes contradictory. What was the worst advice you got from somebody before your son came?
Oh God.
Besides, you're going to be pulling your hair out.
Yeah, I think the worst before he came was probably all the horror stories about delivery. And, how terrible it was going to be, and make sure you take drugs, and, all of that.
See, that would have been me. I'd have jacked you up, because when I see pregnant women, it's their first baby. I mess with them. I said, that's going to hurt. That is going to hurt. That's why they call it labor. And now, did you go through a hard delivery?
I didn't. I did something called hypnobirthing, and it's using breath and focus, meditation, and things like that.
You got a lot of control. Maybe that's where that life coaching and that yoga came in, because Now, did you go? Were you in labor at all? Did you feel any of the labor pains?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I'm not one of the people who can say that, I laughed the whole way through or anything like that.
Say, now let's not get crazy, mother love.
I used hypnobirthing, and until the very end, I was in labor for 12 hours. My water broke at home, and 12 hours later he came out, and I think I pushed for 20 minutes. So I am definitely one of the...
So you know what it does feel like.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would you recommend that to other people?
I think it's a personal decision. I think that what I would recommend is actually thinking about it so that it is your choice. Whatever choice you make, just make sure it's your choice. Not because you've heard it hurts and there's no other way to do it without pain or things like that. Really take the time to get educated about it and find out the possibilities and then make the decision.
Because there's so many different ways that you can have water births, and you have the baby born in the quiet room, and it's just, some of it is just so beautiful. If I were still in my childbearing years, I would be crazier than I am already. Now, when we're talking about parents being in tune with themselves, because there is so much noise out here, and you're trying to disseminate what makes sense for you, because as you said, they're not cookie cutter children. And I love the chapter in the book, your child's journey is your child's, not yours. And we are so eager in our mother loving and protecting, we want this to be our journey. And a lot of parents, even in the 21st century, Jennifer, still want to live vicariously through their children.
Definitely.
I know people that want to be their daughter's friends, and let's go out on dates and wear the same jeans. I don't think so. Give me the mom jeans if I wore jeans. Give me the mom jeans. Now, when you do you think you'd want to have more children?
I do. I love being a mom. It is the most joyful experience that I have ever encountered.
It's so rewarding. It is the best thing I have ever done in my life. If I have any regrets, I regret I did not have more children, because it hurt. Whoa, it hurt. I was in labor 17 and a half hours. My water broke. I was in hard labor. This child would not come out, and they always say, you forget about that. No, you don't. No. When they tick you up, now you understand why parents would say, I brought you here, I take you out.
Yes. My mom used to say that.
She's from the old school. What made you put in the back of the book, at the end of the book, letters to my readers?
I just wanted to give everyone a little bit more. I wanted to, my intention is to empower people, is to just give people the inspiration that anything that they want, anything that they feel is possible. And so, that's my intention with the book, is giving parents the knowledge and the inspiration that they can have the relationship with their children, the parenting experience that they want.
This is devil's advocate. You got one son. He's 5 years old. I could probably get shoes older than you. What made you believe that you were qualified to write this book?
I believe in it. I can say my social work background and all of my training and my life experience, I have those sort of quote unquote credentials. But more than anything, I believe in it, and I see what is happening with my son. I see the relationship that I have with him, and I see the clarity that I have when I look at parent-child relationships, and not just that, relationships in general. I think that a lot of the concepts, if you used with your husband or used in friendships, I think they really work for those relationships as well. And
I was wondering, because sometimes I have the tendency to overthink things, or I simplify them. I was like, oh, it's not that deep. And I got that out of that. I said, this could apply to just about any kind of relationship. When you are being your honest self and being authentic, and you don't have to hurt another person's feelings, it's different from speaking the truth and just being mean with the truth. And so many people are being so mean. Now, I know this is for young parents, but everybody can get something out of this.
I believe so, and I think not just new parents. I think even parents with teenagers or older children. My best friend has a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 18-year-old, and she reads it and says, I wish I had it 10 years ago, but she's been able to apply a lot of it now and make some changes that she didn't have before.
So now let's talk about your website. You have a website. It is called Live Through the Heart. Tell me about Live Through the Heart.
Well, Live Through the Heart is a blog that I started in May of 2012. And, you know, at first I started it just because I was told that I should. And so I listened to the noise. Because
sometimes the noise is good. It's creative. It can be constructive.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, quickly I just fell in love with it. Partially, you know, it's helped me heal, you know, sharing. I came up with this concept that, like, before I kind of felt like I had all of this wisdom that I don't know where it comes from, but it comes from somewhere and I have it. And by not sharing it, I almost felt like I was hoarding it, you know, like it wasn't flowing. And as soon as I started the blog, it was flowing, and I felt like I was doing what I was meant to do, which is just share whatever it is that I know or have learned or anything, and can help people and inspire people and really just connect.
So what kind of things do you talk about on the blog?
The blog is mostly about conscious living. I do a parent blog on conscious parenting, and then a conscious living blog. And I write about everything, and I am very honest.
Very good. She's taking copious notes over there.
I am very honest about my own life. And
has it gotten easier for you since you've written the book and the blog to be honest about what it is that you're going through?
Publicly, yes. I've always been able to be honest, I think, with friends and things like that. But really standing in my pain, standing in my fear, things like that.
What are you most fearful of now?
You know, I think that for me, I've learned that fear is just something that was very powerful in my life, and I used to bow down from it. And so it's everything from fear, whether it's fear of heights or fear of someone being mad at me or things like that. And
you're very sensitive.
Yes, very. And growing up and being in this spot now, I've embraced my fears, and now I am able to kind of say, okay, I'm afraid of this. Let's see why, and let's, work through it. Yeah.
You know what fear is? You know what fear stands for?
I think I've read this.
False evidence appearing real.
Right.
It only becomes real when you give it that realness. When you know that it's something, then it's okay to be afraid. And say, and I listen to the seasoned chick over here. I've been around for quite a while, and I have been, afraid of doing things, afraid of coming out of my comfort zone, till I soaked that box down, kicked over the barrel, threw all the apples down the road, and said, I'm going to go. Yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm scared. Do it anyway. And see, after I got to be a certain age, I was like, well, what do you have to be fearful of? I mean, who do you have to impress? I don't have to impress anybody but my God and myself. Well, I still have to impress my husband.
Right.
He still wants to be impressed, and I don't just impress him. I amaze him. But he's easily entertained too. So now, what's next for you? Tell me what expectations do you have for the book and the next book?
It's funny. I didn't write the book with any expectations. Which is a funny thing for me, because in my whole life I would never do anything unless I had some grand goal in mind and some huge thing that I thought would come of it. The book really for me was writing the book. I wanted it to be a gift to other parents and just a sharing of what I've learned and what I really believe in. How
are you going to make this work for you? Make this work for other people so that you and your son are secure, because you can make this work for you.
Yes, and it's a learning process for me. And, talking about fear, that's a lot of the fear is it's all unknown territory, and I'm learning as I go. And so, right now I'm working on a workshop. I am turning the book into a workshop.
I was going to say, girl, don't make me sling this book at you.
I am turning the book into a workshop for Olive Crest, which is a nonprofit agency that I have linked up with.
Now, what does Olive Crest do?
They work with children and families in crisis. They basically take children out of crisis situations, find them a safe, loving family where they can set a plan, educate children, and then eventually find them a forever home, whether that's back with their own family or an adoptive family. And the program, I walked in there once and I was hooked. I was like, this place is for me. And so I sit on their board, and I have linked the book with them so that anytime the book sells, a percentage of proceeds goes to Olive Crest
That's
as well.
wonderful. So they can go to the website and get the book? How can they get it?
They can get the book either on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, any of those types of sites, and also at my website, livethroughtheheart.com.
Now, what kind of advice, because we're just about out of time, what advice would you give to young, stressed out parents who are not living a conscious life for themselves or making conscious parenting choices for their children, and that they can, because this book says you can turn it around at any time?
Yeah, I think it's just slow down. Just slow it down for a second and let your mind sort of settle down and focus in and make it simple. I think that we get overwhelmed with the grand scheme of things and the all the little details. And I think that if we just make it simple, that it's possible for anyone.
You heard of the KISS principle, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Don't just overwork it. Jennifer Laurent, it has been my distinct honor and pleasure to have you on the program. I hope we get a chance to chat again. May the universe continue to open up and conspire for your success.
Thank you so much.
It has been my pleasure. And babies, I was going to say, we'll be back. It's my turn to leave. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about mother loving you. Peace, babies.